Welcome to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. The podcast that will connect you to resources regionally and nationwide to engage them in open, honest discussions so that we can inspire the growth that you need to chase the experience you want. So strap yourself in because here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Chasing Your Experience podcast. I'm your host, Sean Smith, and we've got an interesting episode for you guys today. So a contact or a previous guest on an episode or on the show, the Scrape Doctor, got me hooked up with a firefighter that is into the food plot industry. Like he's runs a seed company out of Michigan, and he got us connected. And Tony, the owner, who we're about to bring on, was more than gracious to jump on the show and talk to us. So everyone help me welcome Tony Bennett. How are you, sir?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing great, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and jump on the podcast with little old me and and everyone down here in Ohio. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are things up in Michigan?
That's Michigan. So finally got a cool down here.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of rain. So we're finally on the right end of this deal and heading into fall. So the best time of the year.
I hear you. Did all the Canadian smoke finally blow out for you guys?
Yeah, it finally blew out. Thank God. So that was miserable.
Yeah, and with the time, so but off the air, you and I were talking. So we were up there checking out the UP and stuff. Yeah, the Pictured Rock coastline and Torch Lake, and of course, it was like smoky as smoky could be.
Yep.
While we were up there, and everyone's like, "Well, hopefully the smoke blows out for you." I'm like, I don't have my fingers aren't crossed. It's probably not going to.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean it's calmed down enough, so it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, we got it all the way down here too. Like where we were at, we were like 7 hours away from the UP where I live. So like we're down there a good ways compared to you guys, or at least that area up there. So
absolutely. So yeah, it's much better than it was.
Yeah. So before we get too deep into this, and then I guess maybe you can touch on this a little bit before we get very far in the episode here. So am I correct that I heard that Michigan is going to allow you guys to start baiting now?
There's talk between the DNR and them. They're opening it up for the UP. There is talks though on letting us kind of bait prior to season, or they're gonna either cut us down again to I forget what the gallon size is. It's like either 5 gallons for every 10 square feet spread out, something like that. They had that years back, but they're UP can bait fully now with regulation, and then they're talking about bringing that back to the lower peninsula. So
gotcha.
Yep.
Did I hear like there's something you had to buy like an extra license or something? Is that something?
Yeah, it's a money grab. Sorry. That's what it is. It's yeah.
Oh, which that might be in contradiction to your whole like little side hustle you got going on with Redline. So I'm sure that's an interesting topic that, for you in what you're involved in. So
yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of varying opinions when it comes to baiting. I know some people are very anti against it, and I know some people that are on the fence, and then some people are like, hey, I don't see the problem with it. So it's debatable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, because when I was a kid, when I hunted, I baited. I mean, it was corn, sugar beets, or shelled corn. I mean, that was the way I knew how to do it. So, yep.
I think most people have had an experience with baiting where it's legal at some point in time that you've done it. Unfortunately, we've also had some people do it when they're not supposed to do it. And
yep.
Some famous people, some not, but hey, that's neither here nor there. So,
yep.
Well, Tony, you are a first time comer onto the podcast, and hopefully not the last time on the podcast. So I want to take a moment. I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, like, who you are, what you do, your involvement in the outdoors, from hunting, how you got involved in it, all of it. Right. And then we can start, tearing back the layers of what makes Tony.
Okay. Okay, so start from the beginning. I mean, I started hunting at an extremely young age. I mean, back when I was about, no, let's just go 9, 10. Uh, Dad, grandpa both hunted. We hunted state land, whatever, and kept going out, kept going out. Back when I could bow hunt, and we're talking, oh, in the 90s or so, we could start bow hunting when you were 12. So basically, that was my first introduction to let me go out there and hunt by myself type deal. So dad didn't hunt, I did bow hunting. So um basically went out first year, didn't do very well. It was the learning curve of hunting. Come second year though, I definitely got that bow figured out, and that's how I got my first buck, was bow hunting. Um, I shot literally right behind the house, 7 point little basket rack. It was the greatest thing in the world, man, shooting it with a bow. So from there, it was right into the same season, gun season, November 15th. Dropped another one. I'm like, this hunting thing's pretty easy. So, so, and then from there, it just, the addiction just really kicked in, and I've never let it go. I mean, I dare say I've never missed an opening day of gun season in the state of Michigan. So it's like, just like what they said, man, it is a national holiday here. So I did that for many years, hunted with my family. I mean, that was the day to take off. So, and we still continue that tradition today. So, I guess carrying on as I went, um, I got more into hunting. I wanted to get more into the detailed stuff, and, how do things really work. I should say my grandpa had a farm when I grew up, and he was really passionate about growing crops and so on and so forth. And it didn't hit me till about, I was in my 17, 18s, late teens there, and I really got into this. What is this food plot thing that was never heard of? It was a new to the game. All the big name hunters were starting out doing this stuff, and so I got more involved into it. Place I worked at allowed us to go to Michigan State University basically and do some of their horticulture classes.
Hmm.
And Michigan State also does a wildlife um habitat type class. So basically, yeah, after I went there, yeah, did some of their horticulture classes and did some of their wildlife programs that they were putting on at the time. Basically from there, just got really deep into the food plot mindset, listening, going to different conferences and whatever, whoever had anything talking about food plot things. Whitetail Institute was kind of the first to really jump into the game, talking about education of it. And there was a few others around here that were getting into it. And then from there, basically I just started, you know, making my own mixes. Buddies were calling me up, asking me to do some of their plots and do this fancy farming is what they called it at the time. So, and then yeah, from there it was, I just got things dialed in, and yeah, in 2014 or 15, I established red light, and then ever since then it's been on the uphill swing. So yeah, it's fun. I absolutely love going to visit people and getting them established in
Hmm.
plots and stuff. And man, once plots get going, at yeah, it's almost better than shooting the deer itself. It's like, I did this, I made all this, and
Yeah.
everything around here's enjoying it. So yeah, so
So, what are some of the key takeaways you took away from like the college classes? Has kind of led you into like what makes a good mix for, like we could just talk about your region, or if whatever idea you have, because I understand
okay,
regionally it's going to be different.
yep,
The further south you go, it's going to be a little bit different. The further west you go, whatever it
yep,
is, there's going to be some particulars that you're looking for. So, what are some takeaways? Like,
yep,
I guess if you're looking at like a good mix, like if you're looking at like protein versus minerals versus whatever that is, what's
yep.
some insight on that?
So the biggest thing I look to when I talk to anybody that's putting in a plot is, why are you putting in a plot? Are
Hmm.
you doing it for management reasons? Are you doing it to grow or better health of the herd of where you're at? Are you doing it just simply to draw deer in to kill them? I mean, that based off those reasons, I kind of established that, climate in the regions that we are, so Midwest, we got more cold climate up here.
Mhm.
So from there, I mean, you got to adjust what kind of plants will survive this. It's harsh up this way. The soils are terrible in Michigan. I'm sure Ohio's maybe got just a touch better soil, but yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. So I mean, soil plays a big, big, big deal into food plotting. You know, yeah, just those kind of the main reasons, kind of big takeaways I took of the whole thing. Now to get a
Mhm.
specific plant for a specific area, I I mean, you would have to almost go out and just see what's around that area too. I mean, every area is different.
Mhm.
Um, if the soil sinks, I mean, you're gonna have to go with a more of a better germinating type of plant that can adapt to those kind of soil conditions in the weather. So, and
Okay.
that's kind of how you get based off of it. Otherwise, it's going to take some work.
All right.
So, just in the pH levels and all that. So,
So let's talk a little bit about Redline. Like you started into
yep.
the idea of like it's coming into its coming into it, but let's talk about now since you're up and running it. So what's the grassroots of it all the way to where you're at today, right now?
So, red light, a lot of it's based off of most of my clients in the area I know the best is all Midwest.
Hmm.
Um, red light, I mean, in a nutshell, is the average man's food plot company is the best way I can put it to everybody. I try to make it as easy as I can for everybody to get the plots established
Hmm.
to the expert pro level that, man, I know the zinc and ion levels in my soils that, I can dial it right into this is what you want for yours and we can create all this stuff. So, I mean, red light is kind of the average man's type food plot thing. I build it to make it simple yet extremely effective for everybody around us. So, yep.
So where's the name come from?
Okay. So, red light, that was a buddy of mine that was in the fire service with me. Literally one day goes, that's pretty cool. And we were trying to think of names or something like that, and we were coming up
Hmm.
with just dumb names, and finally we went on a fire call, and he goes, "Why don't you just call it red light? Everybody just stops for the fire trucks." And it was like a light bulb kicked on for that, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that does sound like a pretty sweet name." And then it just from there, it just yeah, "Make them stop at your plots" is the slogan, and it just that stuck, and we just so everybody jokes. They think the red little circle up in the red light area
Mhm.
is a sun. It's technically supposed to be a red light on top of a truck. We tried to figure
Okay.
out how to mix fire and all that together, but
Yeah.
that's the logo that ended up with. So
That's the fun part of it though, is trying to piece all those pieces together. So when James introduces like, hey, I got my buddy Tony, he runs a food plot company. It's called Red Light. And he started talking a little bit and he didn't have to tell me, but I'm like, oh, I bet she's a firefighter, ain't he? As soon as I heard Red Light.
yeah, yeah,
As soon as I heard it, I'm like, and the listeners, if they've been part of this, they know that I have a law enforcement background, and if they know anything about law enforcement and firefighters, we're kind of like cats and dogs. We get along
that's
when
we are.
we get along. We have to, but for the most part, it's
We
all
give her we give we throw more crap than we do love at each other.
yeah. But honestly, it's still out of love. I think, to be honest with
It
you,
is.
it comes from a
If
place of love.
if you know as well as I do, if I didn't give you crap, I wouldn't like you. So that's how it
Exactly,
goes. Yep.
exactly. And that's what I tell people too. It's
Yep.
like, listen, if I'm giving you shit, there's a reason behind it. It's because
Yep.
I, I like
Exactly. That's
I like I like you.
that is absolutely the 100% truth.
But
Yep.
anyways, so
Okay.
Red Light, that's actually a really good. That's actually a really good name. Like it's very catchy. I kind of like it, and like it is a good homage to like what you do as a professional, not just in the outdoors, but what you do. What probably pays most of the bills is
Yeah. That's what
stuff
pays red light.
and honestly,
Yep.
it's a culture thing. Like people who aren't part of it don't understand it, and but once you get into it, you kind of get an idea why it becomes a part of our life, and why
Yep.
we hold so much like honor and also like respect for the positions of it. So, But yeah,
Yep,
so
absolutely.
but it's a catchy name, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that just don't it like. Hey, it just draws them in because they may not get the fire reference, but they definitely like. I I get it. I like it.
Y-
Because you look at
Yep.
like you could look at like the dawn, like the dawn. The dawn, the sun when it rises in the morning, or the sun when it
So,
sets,
yep.
which are probably two of the best times to be out hunting. So
Yep.
when you get that red
Yeah.
light, or
I
I
mean,
guess it's called gray light, but
yeah, however they take it, I don't care. Yeah.
is it however they want to roll
Oh
with it.
yeah.
Well, so
However they want to roll with it.
we got the catchy name out. So let's talk a little bit.
Okay.
So what is the product line that you offer right now? What is and you can start A to Z and just kind of throw down a quick like description of it.
Okay. So we'll start from I always start in springtime. So my full blend of clover, my clover mix is called First Dew. So
Okay.
for and that basically I took that from morning dews in the springtime and whatever. Um First Dew is all a bunch of different, it's a basically a mix of annuals and perennials. So that I've gotten pretty dialed in where you can have that if you take care of it, you can have that good 4 or 5 years. So of
Okay.
good clover in it before the weeds take over and whatever. So
Okay.
that's my pure clover blend on that. From there, then we step into my hide and seek. So hide and seek, if you ever see my logo on that, it's got Sasquatch, and that was from another buddy at the fire service too that was obsessed with Sasquatch. So we had to incorporate him into hide and seek, which that's been my screening in my border. And
Yeah.
actually, just over the past years, there's been a few different pheasant clubs and everything that have bought seed from me too to use the sorghum plants for all the pheasants and whatnot in the field for
Yeah.
feed and all cover and whatever they're
Mhm.
using that for upland birds. So that's something unique which I like. That's just something different to use with it. So um I guess from there then we'll step into basically, my prestige brassica is my full blend of brassica mixes. Everything is all winter hardy. It's fast growing, big leaves. I don't like to use too many bulbs per se in my mix, just because there's been some. I I've learned that like the leaves are more palatable and basically they'll drive to those first. And most guys
Okay.
that are looking for hunting purposes want to go to the leaves first more than the bulbs. So I've kind of shied away from bulbs, like the turnips and the radishes and the rutabagas and you name it, I've seen it. So sugar beets, the whole 9 yards of that stuff. So
Mhm.
which they're not bad products, they're just not what I prefer in what we're doing. So
Okay.
then my next two basically is a deep woods and a field perfection. Now those two are different. The deep woods is for those micro plots, those kill plots and the hard to reach spots. It's the guys that want to backpack in on state land or got to go way back in off the country roads up here to go. And you can put micro plots in with those. I mean, it's
Mhm.
simple rake, weed whip, round up. You're going to get a nice plot out of those.
Mhm.
So and then field perfection is just what the name states. It's got a mixture of grains and brassicas in it,
Mhm.
and that's hard to beat in Michigan in a wintertime. So it's the greenest thing out there. So that draws them right in. So
So you said something about the brassicas that you don't like to run a lot of like bulbs. Is that like
yep.
is that like a regional thing because Michigan
Uh,
tends to get like a crap ton of snow and it's not useful for you or
So yep, you're starting to get some of the picture here. So a lot of guys that see all these big names on TVs that go out to Iowa and whatnot that have these
Mhm.
big massive turnip bulbs and stuff. I've been for the time I've been doing food plots and everybody else, you grow these massive turnip bulbs, it's raccoons, possums, all them critters are gonna just gnaw on that thing, and a deer's gonna take a couple of bites, and then you're gonna have a dead rotting bulb in there, and you've basically only fed a few critters with it. I've found, and just this is my own personal experiences, but if you
Mhm.
can get a golf ball size to about maybe a baseball size of a turnip or a radish or a rutabaga, something. I mean, radishes are more up and down, but like
Mhm.
a rutabaga or something like that, the deer will rip them right out of the ground and eat it whole. Now, right there, I get more bang for my buck out of that deal than I do, you know, a big
Okay.
bulb that sit there and just rotted over the winter under the Michigan snow. And, you know, and it's nice too because they're gonna hit the leaves. Deer love the green
Mhm.
food, and Nebraska's got that high energy, high carb deal, so that's gonna really drive them to keep eating it. So same with corn. Corn is high in carbs, so that's why the deer hammer on those too in the wintertime. So because they got to keep that fat up during that winter time. So that's why I kind of drive myself towards more of that line of stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, and I tried running a plot here. I got a very small acreage of land. I got like 6 acres that abuts up to some
okay,
other land and stuff. So a buddy of mine said, "Hey, why don't we try to run some beets?" Or he likes beets, and so we tried those, and I think I found more rotting bulbs than I did anything else. Like, it just,
yeah.
for some reason, they just didn't go for them.
Right, and that seems to be more of a preference thing too with deer too. Deer gotta if it's something they've never seen before,
Mhm.
it's gonna be it just like you or I, if it's a new food, I'm not gonna jump right in and eat it right away. It takes time. It takes some, "Hey, this is actually good," and more deer come
Mhm.
in, and deer are gonna do what, the other deer are doing, yeah. So if you don't have anything like that and you go and dump all that stuff around there, yeah. It's kind of something they're gonna have to build tolerance to of it being there, but
That makes
the
that makes
basics I can yeah, go ahead.
no, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So, that's kind of what I am going with that. So, sorry, I'm turning the light out, but,
That's all right.
yeah. So, anyway, so that's a little better. Um, so yeah, that's kinda why I'm doing that.
I think it's getting dark over there.
Yeah,
Ah,
it is. Like, it's getting dark out in the sunroom, but
it's like so much for being a sunroom. It's about to be a moon room here in a minute. Um,
Yep.
so let's start from the very beginning. Like, so someone's interested in doing a food plot, and I like that
Okay.
you just talked about, because that makes like that made total sense to me why the deer weren't overly like just diving into that food plot, because it was brand new. Like, I'm pretty sure I was the first
Yep.
person to ever do it ever around here, right? It's just because it's just the way it is here. So that makes sense. Like, they don't. So I guess before I go into the very beginning part of this, so then realistically, let's say someone's throwing in a plot, right? And
Right.
what would you tell them would be a realistic expectation before it gets? And now, once again, this could definitely be like very regional, and it could be very dependent, because deer, like people, we're not all the same, right? Um,
Mhm.
but on average, let's take average.
Okay.
What would be the good expectation before they see the results of the plots that they're putting in? If it's just starting like I did, like I had a field, said let's put some beets in here, and,
Okay.
or turnips or whatever you want to call them, and go from there.
So, I actually had that question actually just last week. So, building a plot, it takes time, and basically the easiest answers I can give you is 1 to 5 years, because I
Okay.
know in 5 years you're gonna have an outstanding plot if you put the time, effort into it. Say you could have it in shorter time. It all depends on your soil is the biggest thing. So,
Mhm.
I would say realistically, I'm gonna go 3 to 5 if I'm just guessing
Yeah.
here
Right.
to have a well-established food plot with minimal weeds, and you're getting a good return on what you're planning. So,
Yeah. I mean,
yep.
that's fair. I think that's a fair
Okay.
statement. So let's dive into the very very start of all this, right? So
Yep.
I'm one of your customers. You can put me wherever you want. Whatever you
Okay.
have a good game plan for, doesn't matter, right? But I'm one of your customers. I'm coming in. I want to get started on food plotting.
Okay.
What's step number one?
So step number one is basically sitting down or on the phone. I do a lot of phone conversations, but first thing is,
Mhm.
why do you want a food plot? What benefit is it? because I've had people go, well, I hunt next to 100-acre cornfield. Well, that's you have all the food in the world, so now we got to figure out how to compete against the cornfield. So the
Yes.
first thing is tell me your hunting setup. Like, so for you, example, what's your general setup? Do you hunt out of a tree stand? Do you gun blind? Are you bow hunting? Are you yeah, I mean,
All right, so I'll give you the layout of one of the
yep.
farm, kind of the layout of one of the farms I hunt. Right, so
Okay.
the farm itself is not actively in agriculture. Right, so
Okay.
it's mostly what is open fields has all been done by clear cutting or by bulldozing, and this is years ago. Right, it's
Okay.
got a lot of clear. Well, I can't say clear cutting. We had a pretty big storm go through and knocked a lot of trees over, so it's been salvage timbered. So there's
Okay.
a lot of new growth happening in areas that it's not been before. However,
Okay.
on both let's I'll just say north and south ends of the farm is heavy agriculture, corn and
Okay.
both corn and beans. And you've got
Okay.
we'll just say it's about 100. I'll limit to 100 acres. We'll say it's a 100-acre little plot of land that is basically either
Okay.
open field with well, it's probably about 10% open field. The rest is hardwoods
Okay.
that recently lost a lot of mature trees because of the winds that knocked them over, and they've been salvaged. So a lot of new growth, new briar growth, stuff like that coming in. And we predominantly bow hunt.
Okay. So with that, so I'm gonna put you within. I'll put you Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. I'll put you all within that.
Mhm,
So first thing you want to do is you kind of get a layout of your land. So I'm gonna ask you most likely, do you know all the deer's travel corridors? Do you know where they bed? Do you know they're gonna head out to the big ag fields at night? That's kind of the what we call a destination plot. That's where they're all gonna end up at
mhm,
night or in the morning, and they're gonna travel back in. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we need to cut them off in between those travel routes to come in, grab something to eat before they either A, go to bed or basically head out for the night, at least hit your plot first to move on forward. So basically come up with an idea. Okay, this is where I want to plot because I know the deer travel through this area and this is where I want them to stop first before they
mhm.
make their way to the big destination plot. So from there, then we start our work on the ground. You go in there, you go, okay, I can, I have this amount of equipment. I have let's just say you got a four-wheeler, some saw, something. We can open up this amount of area. And then we go,
Mhm.
okay, we're going to test the soil. And that is the number one thing I see with almost every single plot. Everybody either says, I have great soil or this soil's been um, farmed before and all that. You never know what's in that dirt.
Right.
Absolutely, without testing, you have no idea what the pH levels are, what the nutrition is in there. And then basically, once that soil test tells us what we need to get the ground where we need it, that's where we can start planning on, hey, maybe we try grains in the spot, start building some organic matter up a little bit. Then we're going to start jumping up into the brassicas, maybe some clovers. You know, being a bull hunter, clover is more of a protein that deer are going to want to hit first in the year more than later on in the year because of the winter months and getting cold and they're adding fat to the bodies and everything. So clover is a hot ticket item for man that early season. So that's going to be a go-to. So let's say Lee build maybe a couple, half-acre clover plots on their way out to these either stand set up too, because you got to play the wind too for where these deer are set up. So setting up maybe a couple half-acre clover plots, something along that line, so you can cut them off, have them drawn to one place before they head out, and that'll give you probably the best opportunity you can have there on that
Okay.
in a food plot aspect. So
Right.
it's building the plan on what you're looking for. Now, if you were telling me we're gonna hunt over these plots, I want a big, I want to build the herd up in a sense. I want to bring, more fawns on the ground because we need more deer.
Mhm.
Then yeah, maybe we need to do a mixture of, in the wintertime, maybe there's not enough food around there. So we're gonna really have to put some food out there for them per
Right.
se. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and really keep them bulked up over winter. And then in the springtime, when the fawns are dropping, maybe do some type of alfalfa or clover mix, really boost the protein up to build those deer up all summer long, build the fawns up, make sure the milk's good in the does, help the bucks out, because they're looking for protein and calcium and all that stuff to get their antlers going. And because I mean, they just went through in Michigan, we have some pretty harsh winters, so they're not
Mm,
nice on the deer. So,
mm-mm.
I mean, in Ohio, it might be a little different, but
Depends.
yeah, yeah, depends. Yeah. So, um, it's based on what you're looking for what you want to do for your property. So, but those are kind of a few ideas. I want to learn your hunting property because everybody's
Mhm.
property is different.
Right,
So, and
right.
that's the biggest thing. So, the food plot things that comes along with the whole deal, but if you can really get a good idea of what you're looking for and
Mhm.
what you're capable of doing, that's when the real action then starts after that. So,
So, would it be fair to say, and you can totally like poo-poo this statement and tell me I'm completely off in left field, but would it be fair to
okay.
say that it's an unfair judgment of a food plot the first year it's in?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
would say. And
Okay.
it's no different if you use my stuff, if you use the elevator stuff down the road, if you went
Mhm.
to the farm store, if you bought any other supply on there. I mean, I would say it is an unfair judgment on any food plot seed per se
Mhm.
that you put down. Now, and I'll say there is some seed that absolutely should never be planted, but we'll
Okay.
leave that for another rainy day. But yeah, so so yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I get it. And I guess the
yep,
point I was trying to make, like, we just to hammer in the fact that we discussed earlier that you got to give this about 3 to 5 years for to really
mhm,
reap the true rewards. Like, it's like a 3 to 5 year commitment. It's not just playing it and then watch it go for 3 to 5 years. Like, it's you're gonna have to put some work into it to keep that plot
right,
nourished and going. So,
yep.
uh,
It's just like shooting a bow. You don't go out there first day thinking you're gonna drop, you know, what 8-inch tight group at 45 yards, 50 yards on opening day, first day. I just got my bow out and I'm gonna zing it out there.
I
No, it takes time, it takes practice. Yep.
I hear what
So
you're saying there, but I I will argue that there's a lot of people that think that way.
yeah, hey, I I will tell you right now, my own brother thinks that way when he dusts the bow off and he's like, "Yep, I'm ready for season." So,
I love that picture that
yep,
was going around. It usually goes around this time of year of like a Glendale buck target, and there's like arrows everywhere except for on
arrows
the
every yeah, yeah,
and
yep,
somebody's like,
yep,
ah, close enough. I'm like,
so, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yep, that'll work.
that'll do. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yep,
Uh, that's something I am passionate about. I shoot my bow like religiously every year, all year long, through the
yep,
season, everything. Like that's it's just one of those, and I'm lucky I got the property to do it on where I can really stretch out and really hone in some fine tune some things at distance.
yeah,
Not obviously it's nothing I
yep,
would take a shot at an animal at, but still like work
right,
on the distance and stuff to fine tune some things. So that's one thing I do. But there are a lot of people that I know close to me that's what they do is they'll pick their bow up like a day or two before season just to make sure it's still on, and then they start hunting. I'm like,
yep, and then it's ready to hunt. Yep,
I'm like, I just sit there and watch. I'm like, it just it drives me, but I get it. So let's see here. Let's where I want to go with this. So we talked a lot
yep,
about like the expectations at 3 to 5. We got
yep,
some ideas of what the kind of the first steps of things, right? So if I'm looking at keeping that food plot going for the next, 3 to 5 years, like so, let's talk about is maybe this isn't even something that we even need to maybe there's not a direct path. Well, there's probably not a direct path, but that maybe there's not the stages, but maybe there's not a generalized thing. But if there is, what would be kind of like the generalized tips of what I would need to do to keep that plot going for the next 3 5 years to get it to its full potential?
Okay. So with that, based off of whatever your soil test is saying, is watch the pH in your soil. The
Mhm.
pH is, I would say, one of the top priorities in the soil just to get the plot to where it needs. The pH plays such a huge factor in how much fertilizer it'll uptake, how much, moisture it's going to retain. The list goes on and on with what
Mhm.
that symbolizes. So I would almost dare say, and I'm going to upset some people, but I would say lime is more important than fertilizer itself, because there is already nutrients in the ground. You just need to unlock them. And that's where the pH comes into play in the
Okay.
whole soil dynamic thing. So, yep. So I would monitor that like crazy to know how much lime they're recommending, and, all that first. And then I would start thinking about fertilizers, because a lot of people don't know is, if you're, and I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head, but if you have a pH of in the lower fives, like 5.5, 5.7, something like that, if you put down 100 pounds of fertilizer, only half of that is going to the plant. The other is just dispersing and being locked up in the soil, or just going away in general.
Okay.
So that's how much that pH plays in effect of everything else down the line. So,
Okay. That makes, yeah, and I wonder why lime would be important. I'm glad you answered that question because I've heard the
yep.
discussion before. I don't I truth be told, I don't do a lot of food plotting. I do here and there. But that's why I
Okay.
was kind of interested in this topic though. Like I would like to know a little bit more about it. And there are some people who do. There's people around me that do that would be very interested in this.
Yep.
And lime was just one of those questions that it was always on my mind. I knew farmers use lime. I know people put lime down, but to be honest with you, I really didn't know why. I'm like, you just put lime down. So
You just did. Yep.
you
Yep.
just put it down. That's what you did. I don't know. But no, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. And I guess that's where those testing we would do your soil tests would be really important for you to keep up with too. How
Oh,
often
100%.
how often should you do those? Once you've done your first one, how often would you
Um,
recommend I do that?
they tell they tell you to do it every year. Now, if you
Mm.
did it the first 2 years and you kind of know what you did and how much that adjusted, you kind of can get a good game plan on what the third year, fourth year is going to kind of be.
Okay.
Say you put 1,000 pounds of lime down and it adjusted the pH to, from 6 to 6.5 or something like that on the pH
Mhm.
scale. You'll know, hey, if I put an additional down, this is approximately, it'll put me where I need to be next year. And I
Okay.
shouldn't necessarily need to do a soil test, but it kind of gives you a ballpark idea if you do it every year, 2 years, 3 years at the max. So,
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I just want to throw it out there what people, give kind of people an idea of what, to expect or what to look out
mhm.
for, how often they should probably be testing their soil then. There's probably some people that be crazy want to do it every month versus people want to do it every year. I don't know what the cost of soil testing
Oh
is.
yeah, there is some people want to see what they just put down, and
Mhm.
lime takes about, it all depends on the moisture and how fast it's
Mhm.
breaking down and what kind of lime it is. I mean, like I said, that's a whole nother animal in itself in
Right.
that aspect. So, but
So
it
the one
takes
that's
time for it to break down. So,
yeah. The one of the things I've heard is that the lime really this is probably just an old wives' tale or probably a myth that's out there, but I've heard that the lime you put down next year or this year doesn't really do anything for you until next year.
next year, nope, that's true. It
Okay.
takes it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months ish.
Okay.
So,
All right. Nope.
yep. And
Nope.
if and you're and we're not talking about the crazy new liquid lime, the calcium stuff.
Okay.
It's not that. That's something on a different level. So, but I'm talking like pelletized or ag
Yeah.
lime.
Mhm.
So, yep.
So let's dial in on something. What are the number? Let's narrow down the top three mistakes that you see that people do with their food plots that
Okay.
they could
The-
probably easily fix or probably should never have done.
Okay.
So
One
what's
is
number
not
three?
the
Oh,
number one is just what we've been talking about is the soil test. I mean, that's number one.
mhm.
That goes for everybody. That's that's the worst one out of all of them. Is just because you're just wasting your money after that if you're not doing that. So
Yeah, because
number two, and what's that?
the plants aren't getting the nutrition, even if you were trying to get it to them, they're not getting it because there's not a or particularly not getting it. So
Right.
you're wasting time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Well, so that
number two,
would that make the plants
go
less
ahead.
palatable? Would that make the plants less palatable too? Like because the nutrition
So
values aren't there, or is it something that could actually cause harm to the herd because they're filling up with inadequate nutrition?
not necessarily hurt the herd. You're just not giving them the full potential of what that plant could give them per
Okay.
se. So it's like eating beans that are tinier and crap. Yet one year you get them to grow just
Okay.
massive amounts, and they're huge pods, and I mean that's essentially what you're doing. And then oh man, I'll eat a whole bunch of those. So,
Mhm.
but um, I guess going back. So
Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith of the Chasing Your Experience podcast. We interrupt this episode to let you in on some exciting news. If you're looking to upgrade your mock scrape game this year, then head over to scrapedoctor.com and fill your carts full of scrape magic, maybe a poison ivy or two, just a rope squared, or even just a rope. And then enter the code CountryFried10. That's Country Fried, spelled with a K, the number 10, and save yourself a little bit of money. And now, back to the pod.
all their biggest mistake. Um, I gotta say is because I know what number three is. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but
Right.
number two, I would have to go with either not planting enough seed or too much seed for what you're planting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this gets into an interesting topic of that. So, the bags of seed that you get, you have to know the recommended rate at which you're trying to plant. The bags that you buy in a store don't often give you the correct amount per se. Like rye is anywhere from 100 pounds per acre to 120. If you were to buy rye in a bag, they're going to give you like 5 or 6 pounds and you don't have enough. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird aspect, but know the rates of what the seed is you're trying to plant. And then in the other end, for brassicas, I'm going to go with people I see all the time overseed those things because they're tiny seeds. I can't see them come out. So I'll just open up the spreader and let her eat. And just put a half acre, yeah, basically a half acre down in a quarter acre, and wondered why all the growth got stunted. So yeah, it that I see that more often than not. So they're like, well, it came up great, and then all of a sudden the plants started getting weird colors and stunted growth, and it's like, yeah, you really packed them in there. So some plants can be packed really close together. So yeah, it's so knowing what you're planning in that aspect. So and
So what are
then I guess
what are
the
some,
last what's that?
what are some good resources then for people to kind of realize what the rate is that they're looking for?
Um, the best one I've found so far that kind of gives people a great idea. Whitetail Institute does a pretty good job at educating people on rates and whatnot, but um, I'm trying to think of the best ones to look at. I mean, local farmers got a pretty good idea on planting rates for if they're going to do winter rye or wheat. They kind of know what the spreader's going to do. Lots of people broadcast seed with a spreader, chest spreader, or a hand spreader.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need a little bit bigger rate for those, just because of sometimes you start walking fast in the beginning and then obviously you get tired at the end, so you're not spreading as efficient. I mean, there's lots of things to that. So,
Okay.
but yep. And then my last thing is a lot of people spread seeds, and the best thing you possibly do is seed to soil contact. Is That's the biggest one I see, and that's either a running. You need to run over with a quad tire, or a cultipacker. I know there's a few people out there that got different style cultipackers out there, and they work well. The biggest thing though is knowing how to cultipack too. There's some people that will, you know, till 6 inches of, fresh powdered dirt, which is soft. When you step in it, you go down about, 3 or 4 inches. And what you want is a solid seed bed for them on top, and then pack them into that solid seed bed. Basically, so one, runoff from heavy rains doesn't take the seed and drive it away. But two,
Mhm.
you're driving the seed and putting it in that perfect atmosphere to get established. It's in the ground. It's going to root really fast. It's not planted too deep. And, that's when you're off to the races. So, seed to soil contact's a big thing. Um, a lot of times I just tell people, if you're going to do like a micro plot or a kill plot, take a rake out there with you and just kind of scratch the ground a little bit, and then flip your rake over and then kind of drag it behind it. What you're doing is mixing the seed into the dirt that you've just scratched.
Mhm.
And it gives it the best opportunity to germinate. So I kind of give people two different avenues too on how to do that. So to give you the best germination rate out of it.
There's gonna be some people that's gonna cringe when I say this. What There's implements I usually see, you'll see advertised that people drag behind their four wheelers or something that looks like a chain link fence. I can't think of the name of
Okay.
what the actual name of it is. Or is that like a
Okay.
good thing to use, or would a cultipacker be a much better option?
A cultipacker is I'm a cultipacker is the way to go. But here's the thing about chain link fence is, as long as the ground you've got pretty the dirt isn't too fluffy per se. I don't know how to really put that. Too loose.
Okay.
You don't want to drive the seed in too far. And then two, a lot of people when they disc up the field or doing whatever they're doing, they got furrows, the big dips in the ground or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, when you go across that furrow, basically the chain link fence is only covering just that top little lip here. All the seeds that are down here aren't even getting touched as that thing just goes over. So you're really not packing it in. Whatever the quad tire or the tractor tire is running over is pushing that down. But they're they're a good option if you don't have any other way of doing it and you're trying to do things fast. And
Hmm.
it's not a bad thing, but the potential is to drag seed too with it, because that wants to drag and pull everything
Yeah.
with it, which you want to drive the seed into the ground, not push it along with you. So that would be my only downfalls, I would say, against that style, the chain link fence deal.
And that's just something that
But
I've seen. Yeah, that's just something I've seen looking at, like, man, it looks like you'd be dragging more of that and like stacking it up somewhere, or just keep it completely taken out of
yep,
your bed where you want it to be, doing it that way. Um,
yeah,
it's just first glance.
you'd be pushing the seed around in different areas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
just first glance at that. All right, so to sum that all up, number one, test your soil, know what you're dealing with, right? So you know how to best prepare the soil, because you want to make sure you're getting the
Yep.
best nutrients to the plants you are planting. Number two, know your seed rate, how much you want to put per acre or half acre or quarter acre, whatever size you're
Yes.
trying to do. Don't overseed, don't underseed, and that's very
Yep.
plant dependent that you're going for. And then lastly, don't
Correct.
just throw it and drive away. Make sure you get that good soil contact for the seeds to germinate correctly.
Correct. Yep.
Is that pretty much, did I nail it in a nutshell?
You nailed it on the first try, man.
Not too bad,
That was pretty good.
not too bad for a cop, right?
Yep, not bad for a yeah.
Not bad for a never mind.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of names for you.
Yeah, I know, maybe I was trying to bait you a little bit with that, but you didn't take. you're
Yep.
you're being good. You're on your best behavior. I appreciate that.
First time on the show, I can't go after you too harsh. So right off the
Well,
bat.
listen, it's one of those things. I don't get easily offended. If I do, I just had all I had to do is hit stop.
Oh God.
Hit stop and leave.
Yep.
I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
to you. So, man, we've covered a lot. Is there something that you would like to discuss that we haven't really touched on yet on this episode?
I mean, how long do you got?
Yeah,
That's
we can be
I
on.
could go on for days about food plot stuff. So,
Listen,
um,
the time is yours. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything because we touched pretty much about a little bit about red light and how it got started
mhm,
and the product line you offer. We started a pretty good roadmap for people and expectations. Now, granted, we could probably get some more details, but I think that's going to be more specific to a location um, to
yep,
give a full roadmap. But they got at least an idea of where to start, um,
yep,
how long they should really be committed to doing it, and then probably the three big watchouts of food plotting to be a little
yep.
bit more successful. I think in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
I
I mean,
mean
I
that
the
we're that in a nutshell, that's great. So, because I mean, I could get into, different strategies for different hunting setups. I mean, touching on that kind of stuff. I mean, I've seen more big bucks, big deer, lots of deer killed off of smaller plots than I have big multi-acre, like 5-acre big food plots,
what
like
do you
an
think?
acre or smaller.
What do you think that
Go
is?
ahead.
Why do you think that is?
Okay. Why that is, and I'm not a scientist. I'm a hunter and I'm guessing, just shooting in the dark. So
Speculating. It's fine.
if I can condense it, yep. If I can condense a deer down to a certain area, the number one thing is if I put more scent and more deer activity in one area, and we're talking, once rut hits, once, you know, fawns start dropping, all that, where do you think the deer are going to feel most safe? Where they sense all the other deer. I see all the
Mhm,
deer over in this area. I see all the deer pass through this area. I smell all the deer that pass through this area. All the signs are here. There's scrapes on the ground along this field edge or this plot edge that is made here year in, year out. This is the same travel corridor we take, and this is the same, you know, paths that, mom and her little one takes out to the big ag fields. This
mhm.
is where, the buck always travels through first to scent check does, and I gotta grab something to eat quick before I head out. I mean, when you condense it down into a smaller area, now in 5 acres, that buck could come out 400 yards unless you're rifle hunting.
Mhm.
That buck could come out on the other end of the plot over there and he'll keep going out that way for the next, week and a half. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go set up over there. And we all know how hunting is. As soon as you move, where does he come out? Right where you
Where
were
you
just sitting.
where you were?
Yep. Yep. So now you're back at 400 yards looking through your binoculars at him. So, and I don't have any scientific reason on it. It's more of being a hunter and going, if I can condense the deer down and make them feel safe in
Mhm.
one area, they have all the food they need. Man, if you can add a watering hole in your plot, my gosh, will you see that is the focal point. There's food, water, and when the rut kicks in, all the ladies in one spot. I mean,
Mhm.
what even a a teenage boy would love that area, man. That would you got everything you need in one spot. So that's that's kind of how I look at it for the aspect of you bring them into their this is the place to be. So yep.
Yeah, I think safety just hearing you talk about that, as soon as you said that you've seen them more in a 1 acre plot, already my mind went to it's probably a safety thing because it's easy
Mhm.
for them to know what's going on there, and there's probably cover really close to that, so they don't feel as like exposed in that little 1 acre spot versus like a big 5 or 6. I mean, there's somebody's always going to send a video now of some mega deer standing in the middle of a 200-acre bean
Yeah.
field somewhere,
Yeah.
right? just to just
Yep.
to be just to be
100%.
just to be facetious with the whole thing. But no, that
Yep.
makes but that I could see that security and safety being a big thing. And then
Yep.
adding the water to that's something that's an interesting point to make. So I've seen a lot of different this done a lot of different ways. The most that I see is people that just buy like a big one of those rubber agriculture tanks or whatever, and
Yep.
I've seen them
And
kind of
bury it.
and bury it. Yes, yes, and just bury it
Mm-hmm. Yep.
um,
Yep.
as their way of doing that.
Yep.
So
So, I mean,
one stop shop, man.
well, I mean, yeah, what could be any better? I mean, you got everything you need. So, and you know it'll always be there. So, yeah, that's I guess that's my biggest thing is, you know, there is reasons on doing big 5-acre plots. And the reason, it's food because there's a
Hmm.
lack of food in that area. When it comes to northern Michigan, there is it's pine trees. It's pine trees for miles and miles and miles. So,
Hmm.
and if you set up a food plot there and you don't have more than 5 acres, that food is gone before even hunting season. So, because they're going to go there every single night, there's 50, 60 deer on that plot, and boom, it's gone. Yet, you go down to where you're at in Ohio, and you got cornfields and soybean fields galore. So,
Hmm.
and you've got all the food you want. Now, when winter comes and that stuff disappears, where are they going to head? Right to your green little pasture you got set up for them. So, yep,
No, no, that also makes sense too of what the use of the plot is and what you plan on doing with it.
yep,
Because if you are looking at like sustaining the herd or at least giving them some food that's going to last them, like 1 acre is probably not going to do it. Like
no,
they'll go through that. So case in point, when I first started this whole thing, I was dead set I was going to plant beans. It is what was going to happen. Like soybeans, that's what I'm
yeah,
doing, right? And the guy who came and kind of helped me, he doesn't do it professionally, but he knows a thing or two. And he's like, I don't think beans are a good idea because they're going to eat them. I'm like, I'm doing beans. He's
yep,
like, okay. It was like, he didn't argue with me. He said his
yep.
piece. We did beans, and guess what didn't come up? Well, what came up, but
Smoke
was
beats.
gone. It was gone as soon as it came up. Beans. So, and we did. I don't even think we even did a full acre. And between the deer and the a few Canada geese that were hanging around here, they didn't stand a prayer.
Yeah,
They didn't stand a prayer of a chance.
nope.
So, and then I said, okay, so what do you recommend? And he said, let's do these. I said, all right.
Yep,
The last
yep,
time I argued, that's the
yep.
last
So,
time I don't listen to you.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen that with a lot of people too. They're like, man, I did a half acre and there's nothing growing. Well, you walk out there and all you see is deer tracks and woodchuck holes and
Mm-hmm.
all these critters around there. I'm like, dude, it got devastated is what happened. And it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything that you did wrong. It's just the animals don't have anything there to eat and you just
Yeah.
brought the grocery store in for them and anything that came up, it was good. So that's that's how that
That's
goes.
pretty much how that went. So since we're on this topic, do you have any tips or tricks for people to keep animals off of the plot while it's growing, or is it just it's just
Um,
what's going to
the
happen?
only one that I found have worked over the years, and this is going to be in heavily populated deer areas, is there's a fertilizer. It's called Milorganite, and I've heard people planting that, and I've actually seen it, and it does work. So it simulates that there's people there, yet it's fertilizing the ground too in one shot to give you that initial boost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a it's like 555 or something is what the rate thing is, but
Mm-hmm.
that will give you an initial boost to keep the animals out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously once it breaks down and goes away, the deer will, or the animals will start coming back into there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen guys put electric fences up. I've seen them make you ever seen the deer spray? It's called, I think it's Deer Stop. It comes in a spray bottle, like if you want to spray on your flowers or whatever. It's basically like cayenne pepper. So when
Okay.
the deer lick it, it's like it's too spicy for them. Is all it is. I've seen that. I mean, dude, I every kind of gimmick out there. I mean, if the deer are hungry, they're gonna eat it.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't
That's
know any special tricks per se. So it's just planting enough food
yeah.
or planting something that they're not gonna eat right away. such as like a grain. Grains seem to withhold coming back.
Hmm.
Once clover's established, clover can take a pretty good beating. So,
Yeah.
but for the most part, yeah, you got to get things established first before they can really take a hold.
So
So,
the fertilizer you're talking about now, if
yep.
uh, someone, let's say someone gets their hands on, they decide to go that route with it.
Hmm.
What generally, in your experience, I don't know if you've used it or dealt with it before, what is the general time frame that that will be quote unquote effective and keep the deer off?
Oh, I would say if you give it a month or two, probably.
Okay.
It depends on rain, moisture in the soil,
Mhm.
how fast it breaks down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of you got to kind of look at that. I mean, if you get consistent rain, it'll go way faster.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's more moisture driven than anything.
Hmm.
So, if good.
Man. So what else could we get into? So we've talked. So we got an idea, like we were looking at specifically, and like I think the idea of the smaller plot, I think that was a good thing to throw in there. Because I think a lot of people just they think in grandeur. Now I can see this in two ways. Number one, like you said, if we do go if we in certain areas, if we do a 1 acre plot, it might get mowed over and it's gone. Like it's the deer hammered it and it's gone. So I can see where people are wanting to do that 5 acre bigger plot then, but
Mhm.
also the the more effective in a hunting scenario that that smaller plot is. First off, it's easier to shoot across. There's more likelihood you're going to get an opportunity at something. So
Mhm.
let me throw this out here then. So let's say someone if someone wants to go that big route, like I want to do a big 5-6 acre plot, then would you still recommend them like, okay, well then you need to find like a good staging area leading into one of those locations and do a
Yeah.
smaller kill plot?
Yep. Yep. So if you're gonna do a big plot, my suggestions are too is you got to use some type of screening or some way to draw them in to you better, whether that's piling up debris or something. You got to make a travel corridor through it.
Hmm.
So one of the things I've seen too is guys split plots. When I say split plots, they're using either a screening type sorghum, Sudan grass, switchgrass mix. I don't know. I don't care what you call it, but you're splitting the plots. So basically, you're using your borders to cut off basically where the bucks can't see, and you're doing a bunch of let's just say smaller plots. You're cutting 5 acres down to four-acre plots. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're
Hmm.
kind of cutting them in and making them into something.
Hmm.
Now, based on what your season is that you're hunting, so I'm gonna go back to Michigan here. So clovers are really good in the springtime or that early season fall, I should say. So if you're gonna bow hunt, they're gonna most likely go to the clovers first. So you want to put that closer to your stand or your gun blind or whatever you want. Now, come November 15th, gun season, I can reach out a little farther. Now I'm gonna do, my grains and brassicas and my late season stuff out farther so I can reach out there with a rifle or a shotgun or whatever, knowing that the deer feel more secure away from me because they're getting, more pressure on them.
Hmm.
So instead of come closer to the gun blind. So those are what I would suggest to do is cut your plots up with either, you know, dropping trees down so the deer have to go around or using a screen cover to split them into different smaller plots, but your still overall goal you'll have more and then different kinds of plots within that field too. So
Hmm.
different varieties. So
Yeah. No,
that'll ultimately help you.
that makes that makes sense. I can see the like the grading out you're talking about there, and it makes
Yep,
sense.
grid. Yep,
Also kind of gives you a cover to kind of work your way in and out of those areas too, if you did it
yep,
right.
yep.
So,
So
well,
kind of breaks it up too. But
yeah, it
yep,
does. Well, Tony, man, we've covered. I think we've done a pretty good job introducing you and red light, and I think giving people some morsels to kind of think about. It is fall season. The hunting season's coming in. So by the time this airs, this is probably going to be September-ish, anyways. When this actually does air, just the way my release schedule is, and I'm that far ahead right now.
okay.
It'll be in September. So with that in mind, before we close the show out, like, is there anything that you would recommend people to do, or is there anything that you could say to people that, like, hey, it's September, is there anything we could plant right now? Is there anything that we could be doing? Is there something we should do? Maybe prep, or what are some things you would tell people at that time?
So if I'm going to tell anybody anything, if you're planning on doing anything of a food plot one year, start putting lime down like now. So
Okay.
because you're only going to benefit yourself for next year.
Hmm.
Or if you're going to do a clover plot, if you even have the slightest idea I want to do clover next year, put clover seed down. Clover basically, so we'll start with the lime. Limes takes time to break down. So I mean, let it to sit over the winter time and then go, okay, in springtime we're going to come back and we can start building this plot. So and then with clover takes a long time to get established. It puts most of its energy into the roots first before it starts sprouting.
Hmm.
So with that, and clover's the first thing to green up in the springtime. So that over the winter, it's just growing and growing under the dirt and it's doing its thing. And as soon as spring kicks up, that's the first thing that's going to pop up and go. So,
Okay.
um, those are the two things I could tell anybody to do if they're even considering anything about a plot for next year.
All right. All right. That makes sense. I think I hear a lot of people that do like to plant clover in the fall. If they're going to
Well,
plant it,
yep,
they like to plant in the fall for the following year. So that makes sense.
yep, 100%. Hmm.
Any other tips or tricks for those late bloomers? Or I think that's good. I from what we talked about, that's pretty
Yeah.
much on point for what we said. Like, put lime down, just get it down. And then clover's
It,
a good place to start. Just don't expect something you're on plant now that's going to help you this season. Like, we're kind of beyond that point right now.
yeah. I mean, winter rye is a good one. It's a late thing, and make sure you get winter rye because ryegrass is no good. That's
Okay.
garbage seed. Sorry, that
Mhm.
if I'm going to tell anybody, do not plant it. It does not work in this type of climate. So you're throwing down a weed,
Yeah.
honestly. But anyway, but winter grain rye is a good quick plot if you had one fail or if you're trying to just do something
Hmm.
just to get something to go. That's always a good one. Or
Okay.
oats. Oats are always another good one to kind of get a quick green plot type
Mhm.
deal. So, but that's for say you had a plot fail from getting either a drought or critters ate it all or,
Mhm.
you know, just generally late to the game type thing, procrastinators. So, but yeah,
I don't
that's
know any of those
that's all I
people.
got for you, man. You
I don't know any of those people that would like to procrastinate. Nobody.
no, nobody does. So,
No, no, me.
but if you were, those would be some ideas. So,
Let's make some ideas for you. If you are a procrastinator.
yeah.
No finger pointing. Well, Tony, man, it's been really fun spending the last hour and a half with you. I think by the time I put everything's put together, it's gonna be about an hour and a half or so. So it's been really fun.
Awesome.
It's really awesome to meet you and kind of work along with you on this. And honestly, I really look forward to further conversations with you. Um, as we kind of build maybe a quick mini series or something together to kind of dive in on some of these more particular points that we didn't get into today. Um, just simply because of the nature of this podcast, what we're trying to cover, and also a little teaser to bring people back.
We got more to offer here.
Little
So
host 101 right there.
yeah, I first of all thank you for having me on and everything, and I'll talk about food plotting and everything deer hunting any day of the week, man. So I love doing this kind of stuff. So
Me as well, friend. So let's sign it off. So where can people find you at?
Facebook page right now, it's Red Light Food Plot Seed Company.
Uh-huh.
I do have a website. Still, I just took it down a little bit ago to do some work on it. So,
I
but it
never
would be just Red Light Food Plot. It would be just www.redlightfoodplotseedcompany.com. So, but we're in the construction phase again. So,
now I think your Wix, there's a Wix domain that I think
yep,
you can still
yep.
get to.
That's how you can. Yep, you can still access it through that. So
Okay. Yeah.
because the original domain, we're gonna adjust a few things. So, but yeah, you can go to the Wix portion of it, and then you can see all the products I offer and everything for that. So,
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, because I
mhm.
came across that. I'm like, I'm gonna look into this a little bit before we actually sit down. I went to your Facebook page and then followed the link to
Yep.
go to the website, and it said this page isn't here or whatever it was. I'm like, oh crap. and then
Yeah.
it gave me the Wix version or whatever. I found the Wix domain and got into it that way. So it is there. Like I was digging into
Yeah.
some of the
It's
stuff there.
there. It's there. It's just all hidden in the social media world. So,
Yeah, welcome to it. Well, Tony,
yep.
I thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to come on the show. And I'm very, I'm grateful to you, but I'm also grateful to James to kind of make the connection between the two of us. The scrape
Yeah.
doctor. He's he's been quite the resource for me, and then I'm looking forward to adding another friend to the list here with you, Tony, as we move forward and start to build some good episodes for people later down the road here. But we will definitely be in touch. So
Yeah. And then, yeah, no, I appreciate it. So,
well, I wish you luck this season. Hopefully you kill a booner, or at least a Michigan booner.
oh yeah, 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 or something of a booner doe or something. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
good for me.
hey, whatever. It's you gotta chase your own experience. Like it's not about the score.
Absolutely, 100%,
It's
100%.
about just the
So,
experience. Well, Tony, once again, thanks,
yeah,
man. And folks, thank you for spending the last hour and a half with us and working through some technical difficulties as a new host dealing with a new program. Sorry about that. But if you get a chance, make sure you head over to Facebook or the social medias, and hopefully the website will be up and running fully for you guys so you can get on there and check out some of the product lines. Do pay attention, do stay tuned, because there will be more episodes between me and Tony. I promise there will be at least one or two more, if not more, as we dive into the deeper topics of food plotting and get more specific with those. Make sure you follow the show, like, share with all your friends, leave a review. That stuff helps out more than what you really think, and hopefully you find it on whatever podcast platform that you're on. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. That's Country Fried Outdoors, spelled with a K, and also on TikTok and YouTube. You can find us there as well. But with all that being said, folks, until our experiences cross paths again, may you have the courage to fail, but yet have the humility to learn. And as always, we hope you stay safe out there, and God bless you. Thank you for listening to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. Before you go, don't forget to leave us a review and follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Are you hungry for more Country Fried Outdoors? Then follow us on Instagram at Country Fried Outdoors, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Country Fried Outdoor Productions.